The Arcane Siege. The sky above Eldoria burned with unnatural hues, streaks of violet and crimson swirling like a storm on the brink of collapse. Lightning crackled across the heavens, illuminating the towering spires of the Arcane Bastion, a fortress of immense magical power that had withstood centuries of war. Tonight, it would be tested as never before. Maiya stood upon a ridge overlooking the battlefield, the wind tugging at her cloak. Below, the forces of the corrupted sorcerer king, Malakar, were assembling. Twisted constructs of flesh and metal, shadow walkers bound by dark magic, and an army of enslaved warriors stood poised for war. At their head, Malakar himself loomed, his body wreathed in swirling arcane energy, his eyes glowing with malevolent power. Eldoria's last stand had begun. The call to war. Maiya turned to the commanders beside her, General Kael of the Dawn Wardens and Archmage Seraphis, the last great sorcerer of Eldoria. "We don't have the numbers," Kael muttered, his grip tightening on his sword. "Malakar's forces outmatch us 5-1. Seraphis' expression was grim. "But we have the Bastion. Its wards have never been broken." Maiya glanced at the fortress. The Arcane Bastion was an ancient stronghold, infused with the raw essence of magic itself. For centuries, it had served as the heart of Eldoria's magical might, but its defenses had never been tested against an assault of this magnitude. "Malakar has studied the Bastion for years," Maiya said. "If he's attacking now, it means he's found a way inside." Seraphis hesitated. "There is one possibility. A hidden conduit deep within the fortress. If he has discovered it, he could bypass the outer defenses." Kael swore under his breath. "Then we have no choice. We must hold the gates while you seal the conduit." Maiya nodded. "Then let's not waste any more time." The siege begins. The first wave hit just before midnight. Malakar's army surged forward, their war cries piercing through the storm. Siege constructs, monstrous amalgamations of stone and dark magic, lumbered toward the gates. The bastion's defenses flared to life, arcane runes igniting along its walls as enchanted ballistae unleashed torrents of energy. Maiya stood atop the ramparts, loosing arrow after arrow. Each shot struck true, piercing through the corrupted warriors below. But for every enemy that fell, 2 more took their place. Kael led the charge at the gates, his sword a blur of silver light as he cut through the invaders. "Hold the line. Do not let them breach the walls." Maia's heart pounded. This was only the beginning. The betrayal within. Seraphis led Maiya through the winding corridors of the Bastion, their footsteps echoing in the vast halls of arcane power. The conduit was hidden deep within the fortress, an ancient nexus of magic that bound the Bastion's defenses together. "If Malakar reaches the conduit, he will unravel the wards from within," Seraphis explained. "We must reach it first." But as they rounded the final corner, they froze. The conduit chamber was already open. A figure stood before the swirling vortex of energy, a woman clad in dark robes, her hands glowing with unholy power. Seraphis paled. "No. It cannot be." Maia's grip on her bow tightened. "Who is she?" "Lysara," Seraphis whispered. "My apprentice." Lysara turned, her expression unreadable. "You never told me the truth, Master. You never told me what the Bastion was hiding." Maia's instincts screamed danger. "Whatever you think you know, Lysara, Malakar has twisted it. Step away from the conduit." Lysara's lips curled into a smirk. "You're too late. It has already begun." With a single gesture, she unleashed a wave of energy. The Bastion trembled. The wards that had protected Eldoria for centuries shattered in an instant. Outside, the fortress gates exploded. The enemy had breached the Bastion. The last stand. Kael and his warriors fought valiantly, but the breach had turned the tide. Malakar's forces poured into the fortress, cutting down defenders with merciless efficiency. The once mighty walls of the Arcane Bastion now ran red with blood. Maiya raced through the chaos, loosing arrows at every enemy in her path. She had to stop Lasara, before the bastion was lost forever. She found the rogue sorceress at the heart of the conduit chamber, standing before the now corrupted vortex. "It's over, Lasara," Maiya called, her arrow trained on the sorceress' heart. "Step away." Lasara only smiled. "You still don't understand, do you? The bastion was never meant to protect us. It was a prison. And now, its prisoner is free." The vortex shuddered. From its depths, a colossal shadow began to emerge. Maia's breath caught in her throat. Whatever was sealed within the bastion was awakening. And it was far worse than Malakar. The escape and the oath. The walls of the bastion crumbled as the entity within the vortex fully emerged, a being of raw, unrestrained magic, its form shifting between shadow and flame. Malakar himself hesitated, his arrogance giving way to fear. Maiya knew they could not win this fight. "Fall back," she shouted. "Retreat." Kael and the surviving warriors scrambled for the outer gates, cutting down enemies as they fled. Seraphis, wounded but still standing, turned to Maiya. "We must seal the bastion behind us. We cannot let this thing escape." Maiya nodded grimly. She raised her bow, drawing upon every ounce of energy left within her. With a final, desperate shot, she loosed an arrow into the heart of the vortex. The explosion rocked the battlefield. The bastion's ancient stones collapsed inward, sealing the entity within once more. The fortress, the symbol of Eldoria's power, was no more. As the dust settled, Maiya stood amidst the ruins, her heart heavy with loss. Eldoria had survived the siege. But at what cost? She turned her gaze toward the horizon, where Malakar's forces were retreating into the darkness. This war was far from over. And hearts held true shall carve the path to break the